All right, my people, let's talk about 2020. Remember when toilet paper was more valuable than gold? Yeah, those were strange days. But it wasn't just the pandemic that made things weird. People started seeing things, hearing things, unexplained lights in the sky, ghosts popping up in their living rooms. So get up because we're about to dive headfirst into the weird and wonderful world of UFOs, ghosts, and all the other crazy things that's been happening since 2020. Let's explore. Welcome to Screamville. Now, I'm from the South, and we know a thing or two about tall tales. But these are not your grandpappy's fishing stories, no sir. We're talking about the Pentagon releasing actual official footage of UFOs. These are high-tech military-grade recordings of objects moving faster than a greased pig at a county fair. And the pilots, trained professionals, they're baffled. It's like the universe is putting on a show, and we're all just sitting here with our mouths hanging open. Now, I always thought the government were all about keeping secrets, especially when it comes to little green men. But then, in 2020, they went and did something downright shocking. They released those UFO videos, the ones the Navy pilots had captured on their fancy cameras. The government tried to play it cool, calling them unidentified aerial phenomena like they were trying to win a spelling bee. And you know what happens when the government admits to something even remotely interesting? That's right, everybody and their mama starts looking up at the sky. Once the Pentagon let the cat out of the bag, it was like open season on UFO stories. Pilots, who used to be tighter-lipped than a gator in a fishing tournament, started sharing their own close encounters. Even politicians, who usually can't agree on the color of the sky, found common ground on UFOs. Suddenly, everyone from senators to governors was calling for more transparency, more investigations, more answers. And the media, well, they went hog wild. Now you might be thinking, well shoot, that's all fine and dandy, but I ain't never seen no UFO. Well, hold your horses, partner, because after 2020, civilian sightings of UFOs went through the roof. People were seeing strange lights in their backyards, weird shapes hovering over highways, even unidentified flying objects crashing wedding receptions. Websites and organizations dedicated to tracking UFO sightings were busier than a one-legged man in a kicking contest. It was like the whole world was having a collective, "What in tarnation is that?" moment. Now, if there's one place on Earth that's no stranger to strange and unusual phenomena, it's Las Vegas. So it should come as no surprise that Sin City decided to up the ante when it came to UFO sightings. In 2023, the City of Lights and slot machines got a little brighter when reports of a UFO crashing near Area 51 started making the rounds. Now, Area 51 is practically synonymous with government secrets and alien cover-ups. So naturally, folks went bananas. There were rumors of strange creatures roaming the desert, whispers of government agents swarming the crash site. While the official story remains as elusive as a royal flush at a penny slots table, one thing's for sure: Las Vegas cemented its reputation as the place where anything can happen, especially when it comes to UFOs and the unexplained. Now, we all know ghosts love a good haunting, right? It's like their version of a staycation. But after 2020, it seems like the spirit world decided to throw itself a global block party, and everyone was invited. Haunted hotspots, places with more ghost stories than a graveyard storyteller, were suddenly seeing a surge in paranormal activity. Gettysburg, Salem, the Stanley Hotel, these places were busier than a flea market on a Saturday afternoon, except instead of bargain hunters, it was ghosts looking to make contact. Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure: ghosts were coming out of the woodwork, and they were ready to party. After 2020, even our humble abodes weren't safe from a little ghostly intervention. People started reporting all sorts of strange happenings in their homes. Objects moving on their own, like a rogue game of fetch with an invisible dog. Doors slamming shut with no explanation, like an angry ghost was trying to make a dramatic exit. It got so bad that some folks were sleeping with the lights on, armed with nothing but a salt shaker and a prayer. But after 2020, it seems like even ghosts decided to get with the times and embrace the digital age. People started reporting all sorts of tech-related ghost stories. Calls from deceased loved ones, their voices crackling through the phone like a bad AM radio station. Unexplained texts popping up on their screens. Messages that would make your hair stand on end. I even guess ghosts get lonely, and what better way to reach out than through the World Wide Web? But after 2020, ghost stories went viral, spreading faster than a rumor in a small town. With everyone stuck at home, scrolling through their phones like it was their job, ghost stories found a whole new audience. Haunted TikToks, spooky Instagram posts, ghost hunting YouTube channels, you name it. If it had to do with ghosts, it was blowing up the internet. Ghost stories went from hushed whispers to mainstream entertainment, and the line between fact and fiction got blurrier than a Bigfoot sighting in the fog. Now, we've talked about UFOs, we've talked about ghosts, and we've talked about how things have gotten weirder than a two-headed snake at a picnic since 2020. Well, some folks, especially down here in the Bible Belt, are starting to think maybe, just maybe, we're living in the end times. Yeah, you heard that right. Revelation. The grand finale of the Bible, the one with all the fire and brimstone and trumpets blowing and whatnot. It's enough to make a preacher shout hallelujah and head for the hills with a year's supply of canned peaches. Now, I'm not saying I'm building an ark in my backyard or nothing. Yet. But even a skeptic like me has to admit, things are starting to line up kind of spooky-like with some of those old-time prophecies. Remember those 4 horsemen of the apocalypse? Pestilence, war, famine, and death? Yeah, those guys don't exactly sound like the life of the party, do they? Well, after 2020, it seems like they decided to saddle up and go for a joyride across the globe. We had the pandemic, which was about as much fun as a toothache in a hurricane. We got wars and rumors of wars popping up faster than dandelions in springtime. Now, I'm not saying it's the end of the world as we know it, but it sure feels like the opening act to something big. Something that would make even Nostradamus say, well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. Things are getting real. Now, you can't talk about the end times without mentioning signs in the sky, right? And boy, howdy, have we ever had some signs in the sky lately? Some folks, they're convinced those UFOs are nothing less than God's chariots, coming down to earth to separate the wheat from the chaff, the righteous from the wicked. They say those lights in the sky are a sign that Judgment Day is nigh and we better get right with the Lord before it's too late. Others, they're saying those UFOs are just really advanced spacecraft, piloted by beings from another planet who are probably just as confused about what's going on down here as we are. Either way, it's clear that something big is going on up there, and it's got everyone from preachers to physicists wondering what it all means. Now, I'm no Bible scholar, but I know a thing or two about Revelation. It's got enough plagues, famines, earthquakes, and celestial wonders to make a Hollywood blockbuster look like a school play. And you know what? Some folks are seeing echoes of Revelation in the headlines these days. Global pandemics? Check. Wars and rumors of wars? Check. Economic turmoil? Check, check, check. So, while it's tempting to look at the world today and say, well, this is it, folks, we're all gonna fry, I reckon it's best to take a deep breath, keep a level head, and maybe, just maybe, enjoy the ride. Now, we've talked about the Bible, but let's talk about something a little more Hollywood. Remember that movie, The Matrix? You know, the one where Keanu Reeves dodges bullets in slow motion and realizes the world isn't what it seems? Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because some people are starting to think maybe, just maybe, we're living in our own version of the Matrix. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's crazier than a sack full of squirrels. But hear me out. What if our reality isn't so real after all? What if it's all just a giant computer simulation, created by some super advanced civilization or maybe even a mischievous teenager with too much time on their hands? Now, if we're living in a simulation, you gotta figure there's gonna be a few glitches every now and then, right? Like when your computer freezes up or your internet connection goes down. And let me tell you folks, some folks are convinced they've been seeing some serious glitches in the Matrix lately. They talk about déjà vu, that eerie feeling that you've already lived through a certain moment, like someone hit the rewind button on reality. They talk about time slips, where minutes turn into hours or hours into minutes, like someone's messing with the cosmic clock. And then there are the little things, the inconsistencies that make you scratch your head and say, now hold on a minute. Like when you swear you put your keys on the counter, but now they're gone. Or when you could have sworn your favorite childhood candy bar had a different name. Are these just signs of our own forgetfulness? Or are they cracks in the fabric of our simulated reality? I reckon that's for you to decide. Now, we've all had those moments where it seems like the universe is trying to tell us something, right? Like when you think about an old friend you haven't seen in years, and then, bam, you run into him at the grocery store. or when you're thinking about a certain song and then boom, it comes on the radio. These little coincidences, they're called synchronicities. And some folks believe they're more than just random events. They think they're signs, messages from the universe, or maybe even evidence that our reality is being manipulated by some unseen force. Now, I'm a pretty rational guy, but even I gotta admit, some synchronicities are downright spooky. Like when you have the same dream as someone else, or when you pick up the phone to call someone and they answer on the first ring saying, "I was just thinking about you." Are these just flukes, or are they hints that we're all connected in ways we don't fully understand? I reckon that's a question for the philosophers and the late-night talk show hosts. Elon and the eggheads. Even scientists are scratching their heads. You might think this talk about the Matrix is just hogwash, but even some scientists are starting to take it seriously. Yeah, you heard that right. They're wondering if we might be living in a computer program. Even Elon Musk says the odds of us living in base reality are billions to one against it. He thinks we're in a simulation by some super advanced civilization. The Mandela effect. When memories go haywire. Let's talk about something truly strange that'll make you question everything. Named after Nelson Mandela, the South African leader. Most folks remember Mandela being released from prison in the 1990s, but some swear they remember him dying in the 1980s, at least not in this reality. Some think it's evidence of parallel universes or glitches in the Matrix. From the Monopoly Man's monocle to brand spellings, it's enough to make you wonder. Time, that ever-elusive, always-ticking concept, has been messing with philosophers and physicists for centuries. You know the saying, time flies when you're having fun? Well, after 2020, time decided to become a bit of a joker, speeding up, slowing down. So, are we doomed? Or just riding the cosmic roller coaster? Well, folks, we've covered a whole heap of strange and wonderful territory in this here exploration of all things weird since 2020. We've talked about UFOs zipping around like fireflies on a sugar rush, ghosts making themselves right at home in our tech gadgets, and the very fabric of reality seeming a little, well, frayed around the edges. So where does that leave us? Are we on the brink of a biblical apocalypse? Living in a simulated reality, controlled by some tech-savvy teenager in their basement? Or maybe, just maybe, we're just going through a collective cosmic growth spurt, expanding our consciousness and awareness of the universe and all its mysteries. Honestly, I don't have the answers, folks, and anyone who tells you they do is probably selling something. But here's what I do know. The world's a strange and wonderful place, full of surprises around every corner. And sometimes the best we can do is just sit back, grab a big old glass of sweet tea, and enjoy the ride. Keep your eyes on the skies and your phone charged. One thing's for sure, though, things aren't going back to normal anytime soon. Not the normal we used to know anyway. The world's a-changing, evolving, and maybe even glitching out a little bit. But hey, that's life for you, right? Always keeping us on our toes. So what can you do? Well, for starters, keep your eyes on the skies. You never know when you might catch a glimpse of something truly unexplainable. And keep that smartphone handy too. You never know when a ghost might try to slide into your DMs. Better keep Matt Fraser on speed dial. But seriously, keep an open mind. Don't be afraid to question what you think you know, to explore the unknown and to embrace the mystery of it all. After all, that's what makes life interesting, isn't it? The not knowing, the wondering, the possibility that something truly amazing, truly mind-blowing might be just around the corner. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go check my attic for signs of interdimensional portals. You know, just in case. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you choose not to, I hope the green guys get you first. Just kidding, thanks for watching.